And I'll give you 7 too. I'll bring that to class next time too, so you won't have to print anything out this week. So what I want to show you is just kind of square roots. We've already talked about square roots and what they mean. Now you want to do as much of this as you can in your head. You also want to get comfortable with where your square root button is on your calculator and everything. So some of these you're going to know. So basically a square root, what does it mean? You're finding a number that you multiply by itself that would give you like the 169. Do you know what that is? What if you didn't have a calculator and your life depended on it? Well, then you'd have to go 10 times 10, that doesn't work. 11 times 11, no. 15 times 15 is 225. Eventually you would stumble on to, whoops, I'm going too big. Eventually you would stumble to 13 times 13 is 169. Well, I know the last digit's 3 because 3 times 3 is 9. So that answer is 13, but the reason is because 13 times 13 is 169. Okay, you can check the answer to a square root always, okay? If you have this, and we've seen this before, if you have a square root of a fraction, all you got to do is just do the square root of the top and bottom. Do what you can in your head. What's the square root of 36? 6. How come? 6 times 6 is 36. 625. What would be the last digit? 5, because 5 times 5 is 25. You could use your calculator on it. You would get 25. Okay, like that. 25 times 25 is 625. So if you can't do that in your head, use your calculator. So the reason that's the answer is because if you multiplied the answer out twice, 6 times 6 would be 36, like it's supposed to. 25 times 25 would be 625. So you can always tell you're right when you do a square root. Okay? Okay, the next one. What's the square root of 16 in your head?
4.
Okay, notice this has a negative in front, so that means the answer is negative 4. When you see something like this, negative square root of 16, what it really means is negative 1 times the square root of 16. Square root of 16 is 4, but 4 times negative 1 is negative 1. Okay, like that. Okay, next one. Without your calculator. A lot of times students can't do decimals because they don't remember how to multiply decimals without a calculator. Well, you got a 49, so what times what is 49?
7.
So it's got to have a 7 in it, but it's also got to have a decimal. Okay? The decimal would be 0.7. It would be half as many decimals. If you don't remember this, and I understand why students wouldn't remember this because we live in a technological age. If you do 0.7 times 0.7, you get 49, right? But you count back 2 decimals. That's how you were taught how to do that way back when. So you're going to end up having half as many decimals. Okay, here's one more example real quick. What if you had 0.0004? In your head, just look at the 4. What would be the square root of 4? 2. But you would have half as many decimals, so it would be 0.02. Okay, your calculator will bail you out, but I sure would like you to be able to do that in your head. Okay, so the answer is not, why did I put that? Okay, the answer is 0.07, like that. Okay, the reason is because, nope, what's wrong with me? 0.7, sorry, 0.7. The reason is because 0.7 times 0.7 is 0.49, like that, okay? Okay, now the next one, go ahead.
Can I ask real quick, the negative 16, multiply negative 4 is negative 4, isn't it just 16?
Well, the thing that we're doing is 2 things. We're doing the square root of 16, which is 4, right? So like I said, it's kind of the same as this. Negative 1 times the square root of 16. Square root of 16 is 4. So you have a negative times a positive, so you get a negative answer. What you'll find is like if you had something like this, negative square root of 100. What's the square root of 100? 10. What does the negative do? It just attaches. That's it. Okay?
If the negative is inside of the square root, doesn't it cancel?
Then we got problems. Okay? All right, that's what I'm getting ready to do next. Okay, the meaning of this problem would be this. Like all square roots mean the same thing. What would you multiply by itself that would give negative 49? Remember, it's got to be the same number. Couldn't be 7. 7 times 7 is positive 49, so that's no good. How about if we did negative 7 times negative 7? No, that's positive, so it doesn't work. And we can't do this. We can't do 7 times negative 7, because it has to be the same number. So this doesn't have a solution. What we say at this stage in the class is we say it has no real solution. So if you have a negative under the square root, it's not going to have a real number solution. It's going to have an imaginary number solution, which we'll learn in a couple of weeks. Then we'll start writing the answer as 7i. Have you guys learned that in high school or anything? Somewhat. Okay, we'll start getting into imaginary numbers. But for now, no. If you do that on the calculator, you'll get an error on any calculator. Okay? Okay. Go through and just to finish up class, get your calculator out too if you need to. Just calculate out up to 14 real quick, and I'll just give you a couple minutes. You can use your calculator too if you want to. But I recommend anything that you can do in your head, you want to do that in your head, okay? Then we'll quickly go over the answer. Use your calculator. But, okay, the first one, what'd you get? 12. 12 times 12 is 144. The next one, what do you get? 25. 25 times 25, 625. How about the next one? 7/3, right? Just do the top and bottom separately. 7/3 times 7/3.
There's no number 8.
Is there a different one?
I got number 8.
You guys do got different problems?
Yeah. Our number 8 is 49/9.
Yeah, same here.
Oh, so I missed that. Okay. Okay. So you don't have 625? Okay. I guess I downloaded the wrong thing. How about number 10? Do you have this problem?
We have number 11 now.
And we also have 12.
That's 11 over 15. How about this one? Negative square root of 81. Negative 9. How about this one?
Negative 22.
Negative what?
22.
That's good. You can use your calculator. Okay. I need to make sure before next class that I have the right thing here. How about this one? 0.09. And how about the next one? No solution. Good. Okay. So study over that, and we'll finish this up next time.